Welcome back. Now, yesterday, communities in Mitchell's Plain in Cape Town participated in a human rights awareness rally that was organized by the Whitaker Peace and Development Initiative, or the WPDI. Now, the rally is part of a series of community engagements, including dialogue that's aimed at raising awareness of a prevailing human rights crisis, especially in living conditions. Now, WPDI is an international project which was founded in 2012 by American actor Forrest Whitaker, who is also a UNESCO Special Envoy for Peace and Reconciliation. And joining us to discuss this are Dr. Chance Chagunda, who is the Whitaker Peace and Development Initiative's country coordinator, and Kayla Isaacs, a trainer and community leader. Both of you, thanks so much for your time this morning and welcome to Morning Live.
So we are honored to be here, Sakina, and good morning to the listeners.
So, Dr. Chagunda, let me start with you. Many attempts have already been made at bringing peace to the Cape Flats area. Everything from religious interventions, police interventions, as well as community projects that have been initiated by members of the community themselves. What do you believe is your own view on this particular problem that the Cape Flats is saddled with?
Thank you so much. That's a very critical and relevant question. We acknowledge the effort by many other stakeholders, including international organizations and NGOs. For us, I think the methodology that WPDI, which is Whitaker Peace and Development Initiative, uses is more comprehensive. It's comprehensive in the sense that they believe without peace, there cannot be development. And without development, there cannot be peace. So these two things shape the way how WPDI works. So, for example, we start with the training school kids in school. So we are providing that training in terms of the importance and knowledge about peace and, of course, development. And at the same time, we focus on the youth. And we focus on the elderly and the communities. So what we emphasize in terms of partnering with other organizations, in terms of awareness of the importance of peace and the criticalness of mediation in terms of conflict. We also put our own effort in training our own peace ambassadors, who are the youth and even the elderly ones, who are community leaders, counselors, church leaders, and so on, so that we can tackle the issues from the childhood until those who are 8 or 90 years old. So it's more or less comprehensive. And those who see that there is so much in deep poverty, there's lack of development, we initiate programs of business and entrepreneurship and even fund their initiatives to start on their own businesses. So in so doing, we don't just focus on one thing. We try to see it holistically, and we think with our model, it's a success, it's a winning model.
Speaking of success, as I was saying, Dr. Chagunda prefaced in the previous question, this is a problem that seems not to want to go away. So what would you say is the success rate of your program to date?
Thank you so much. You know, with the community dialogues, which we do in communities, we also have got a program of training leaders in communities. With these tools, we are up to now, we are able to know the challenges of the communities, because these are the communities that request for these dialogues, that they want to speak to other fellow community members. Because, you know, all culprits of crimes, they are members of our own household in the community. And they're shielded, they're protected within our household. So when these people say not enough is enough, let's speak about this. We welcome that opportunity because it gives them an opportunity to discuss what they cannot continue living in, which are these challenges of crime and violence. So because it's coming from them, they are able to make sure that how can we make it better? So we have seen that all the community dialogues that we have been having, they have been eloquent in terms of the origin, the causes of these problems, and the possible solutions. So with them work together that, okay, you have identified this, and you identified this. We as facilitators, we want to help you that we can have a safe and sustainable peace living community. So we work together with them. We have already seen so many, so many successes in some of the communities. For example, you know, whenever there's a problem, they call the police. But we find that those who want to shield, to protect this, those who are interested in crime, they are going to stone the same vehicles of the police. What are the same community, they want the police to come as quick as possible. And yet the police station has got lesser vehicles because half of the vehicles have gone for maintenance, have gone for repair, have gone for service. So we bring these partners together that, you know, once you do this, this will be the consequences in your community. This will be a delay to deliver the services by the police. So we see that they realize how interlinked these issues are, and some of them say, you know what, we are going to start spreading a different message now, because we have seen how devastating destroying community property it is to our own benefit. So this is how we've already started relating the success. But others have told us even that since I've been involved in community engagements, this is the first time that we can actually see the importance of tackling peace at the grassroots level, tackling peace in our communities, because all these things happen in the community. So it's not only the government has to help, but the solutions, they have to reside within the communities where the origin, where the causes of these problems reside as well, Sakina.
And then this is where Kayla comes in, because Kayla, you led a march yesterday of about 150 children aged between 4 and 17 years old, I see. And as Dr. Chagunda was saying, living conditions are among the key concerns. So what exactly are the main problems from your perspective, and how much development has there actually been in terms of creating better housing opportunities, schools, sports facilities, and other recreational facilities for children?
Hi, thank you, Sakina. Hi, welcome, viewers. So just to answer your question, yes, we have had a community dialogue for human rights, and it was a success. We had about 150 youth little ones over there, and we basically trained them on like your human rights, your basic human rights. We trained on their identity, we trained on their like equality, like within themselves. And together we collaborated with Hopes and Dreams. They're also based in Mitchell's Plain. So they also started a program at the same recreational center and in the farm in Pecan Valley of Mitchell's Plain. They also started a program for training on the teaching the youth, because most of the youth that is in Mitchell's Plain and within that farm area does not attend school and does not have any educational background. So we try to advance them and move them forward in that aspect. Whereas one of our peace ambassadors, Joseph Jacobs, he also started a soccer tournament and a soccer team within the community to keep them occupied within space. And we thank the recreational center in Pecan Valley for opening their doors for free to us, so that we can facilitate and we can use the space to implement peace and to implement and to keep the youth entertained. Because as you drive through the area, you can actually see that they don't attend school. There's a lack of education, there's a lack of resources within the communities. So we try to bring them all together and try to help them as possible.
You mentioned identity as part of the discussions and the education that you engaged in yesterday. Why is this question about identity an important one, Kayla?
That's definitely a very important one, because for them for the youth to know who they are, to recognize their character and build their character on on not what the environment and society says, but what they want to grow in their life and in their being. So we train them and we help them to assist them to become better for the generation to come next. So we move them forward that they can succeed, so that our next generation and our future is basically dependent on them. So for us to assist them on helping them to identify who they are and their character is very important.
I tell you what, I'd love to engage you on that at another stage, offline perhaps, because very interested in the whole question around identity, especially in a place like, the Cape Flats and what this can do for children growing up under these conditions. But Dr. Chagunda, what are you hoping that communities will learn and take away, apply from these initiatives like the ones that we are seeing that you are rolling out now?
Again, I think I have to give credit and thank the sponsors for this initiative, BNP Paribas and their financial arm, RCS, that have invested financial resources to make sure that we reach all the communities within the Cape Flats. As you might have known, that gender-based violence is one of the many problems that the communities are encountering. And this DBV is counter-development. And on top of that, there's also an emerging one, which is a problem that is coming out through this dialogue. And this is the abuse of the elderly. Especially because many people have lost employment, they use that excuse that they don't have an income, so they have to abuse the elderly that receive social grants. Instead of protecting them, they're dehumanizing, they're taking their basic human rights. So this type of dialogues, we are trying to raise an awareness that these vulnerable groups, actually, we need to protect them. They are part of us. They are part of the history, but also source of wisdom and the source of cohesion within communities. And at the same time, by outlining this already ongoing violence, we want to make sure that people are aware, actually, the challenges of development is also part of what we are doing in encouraging violence and the robberies, even the total abuse of most vulnerable people. So we are trying to bring an awareness of how these interlink to each other. If we have to live in a safer Cape Flats, we need to start with us in our household, not just harboring those who are causing these problems, but actually exposing them so that the law can take its course and those people can be protected and the human rights can be respected for each and everyone. As you might know, we are all born with these human rights. The basic human rights, not something that we are given, but we need to respect other people's human rights if you don't want to respect others. So this type of dialogues, they bring these issues that those who have knowledge within the communities, they bring it to the community. They say, these are what we are going through in our community, but I think these are part of the solution. And other communities say, not how do we embrace these solutions? Where do we start? So these dialogues are very critical in bringing development, in bringing sustainable peace. I know the challenge is big, but it starts with small. One step at a time. As our founder, Forrest Whitaker, says, we need to plant the seed of peace if we should have successful development or community development, Sakina.
Kayla, you've lived in this area, you're part of the community, and you would know that at some stage recently the Western Cape government even suggested bringing soldiers to the Cape Flats. And many people that I've listened to over the years, myself included, have often, wondered, how do people actually even live any sort of normal life with the sort of activities that we see reported happening on the Cape Flats? What do you think will bring a lasting solution to the problems that bedevil the Cape Flats?
Wow, thank you, Sakina. Yes, I am within the area of Mitchell's Plain, within the community, and I face the same challenges they face every single day. Every morning or every day, there's always gunshots or violence happening, and it's really a disappointment. So obviously, that is why I joined the WPDI programs, because I want to implement that change and that and that positive change. And as Dr. Chance said, that as we grow ourselves, we grow the community as well. So for us to create that change, we cannot conform to the community and society that we live in, but we need our personal self. We need to change ourselves. So the way the community is reacting towards all this violence, and so you saw in the news and in the placements and so on, the protests that are happening within Beacon Valley especially, and within Mitchell's Plain. So obviously the parents and the community is fed up of all this gangsterism and the violence that is within. So for us as WPDI and many other programs within the Cape Flats that are doing the same thing, we need to gain forces and basically push and drive towards a better community and a better society.
Well, this is a conversation that is still going to linger, but I have to thank you, Dr. Chance Chagunda, Country Coordinator for the Whitaker Peace and Development Initiative, that's the WPDI, and Kayla Isaacs, a trainer and community leader based in Mitchell's Plain in Cape Town, talking to us about the initiative that is currently underway to deal with the breakdown in human rights and living conditions in that area. And I know, as I said to Kayla and to Dr. Chance as well, it seems as though we've been talking about this forever. And one has to wonder, at what point do we actually break this cycle and bring peace to that area? But great initiative afoot, and great stuff that they are getting them young. As you heard there from Kayla, yesterday's initiative involved 150 youth between the ages of 4 and 17 years old. And that is perhaps where you need to start. Right, that